meeting from May 21st. Call to order. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First order of business is a public hearing on section 461-L1, fire department partial tax exemption in neighboring towns. Called to order, it's opened at 6:32. Anyone wishing to speak about this? Now is the time to do so. It reads, the relevant portion is as follows. The volunteer firefighters or volunteer ambulance worker residing in the village of Round Lake and the village of Round Lake is served by such incorporated volunteer fire company or fire department or incorporated volunteer ambulance service. The following an amendment is being added to this. Or such volunteer firefighter or volunteer ambulance worker provide such volunteer services to the village of Alton Spa or the towns of Ballston, Malta, Half Moon, or Clifton Park, or the cities of Mechanicville or Saratoga Springs. Basically, it allows. You wanna?
People who live in Round Lake residents who provide volunteer services to neighboring municipalities to get a partial tax break from their village taxes. And we have sent letters to surrounding municipalities saying this really only works if we all do it together. But we don't know what the status is of what our neighbors in Clifton Park and Mechanical and so forth are doing. But I guess we may be taking the first step. Hopefully they're taking this step as well.
And do you know, have you heard anything from neighboring?
I thought Clifton Park had something a few months ago, someone information about the other towns.
I think we were the first or one of the first to put the original.
Yeah.
That's why, yeah. Does Joey still belong to this?
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Okay, public hearing is closed at 6:34.
And I'm sorry, I think I missed something. Did we just vote on the local law or are we gonna do that under new business? Old business?
Oh.
Did we just vote on that? I'm not sure what the vote.
No, we didn't.
Okay.
But it's an open meeting for that, the public hearing. So the public hearing is closed. Now we can take a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Oh, second, actually, hang on.
Oh, did you make a motion?
Whereas
Oh,
the village board of the village of Round Lake proposes to amend 162-36C of chapter 162 taxation to provide partial tax exemptions to volunteer firefighters and ambulance workers in neighboring municipalities who reside within the village of Round Lake. And whereas the board of trustees of the village of Round Lake has determined the proposed action to be a type 2 action pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act. And whereas a public hearing on the proposed amendment was held May 21st, 2025, at which time all persons desiring to be heard were in fact heard. Now therefore it is resolved that the board of trustees of the village of Round Lake adopts the proposed amendments and directs the town clerk to file the amendment with the New York Secretary of State. I'll move it.
Second.
Jason seconds, Tom moves it. Discussion? Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, public comment.
Danielle Ridley, I live on 6 Kavanaugh. I have a question regarding lookout for turtle signs. Is it possible for the village to purchase a couple? I don't know if it's gonna do much good on Route 9, but on the bike path they're getting slaughtered by bicycles. So I was hoping for maybe slaughter, smash. Yeah, I hope it made it across. It's turtle season, it's a little late, but they do cross maybe for the next month, but I was just hoping maybe, I don't know how many signs are in a pack.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
How quickly, I'm not sure, but.
Okay,
Good idea.
thank you very much.
I have something, so I came to ask, oh, sorry, Katie, 62 Burlington. I came to ask for approval to add, a beer truck to Antiques Fest. So I know looking into it, there's legalities and different things. I've compared our agreement compared to what's already at Marcus, and we use the same wording, same agreement. I did get a copy of the letter that, basically would just need to go to those vendors to be signed. I also know that everything needs to be controlled in an area. The designated area would be to the left of the monument, so there's a little space that's gonna have the music, and then essentially the alcohol that would be in that space, which would then be blocked off by the food and everything else is kind of that way. I don't know what else I need for approval, except for you guys to say yes, and then I can write up the letters to get signed. I don't have specific vendors yet, because I didn't want to reach out to a vendor and say, hey, do you want to do this, and then not do it. So, I have a few in mind, like Unified Brewing, which is they sell closed containers, so it wouldn't be an open container if that's the stipulation. And there's also the on-tap truck that, I briefly spoke to, so that's another option. But I just think of like, a couple of people were asking last year about it, so it's another addition.
This is for, Antiques Festival.
Antiques Fest, June 21st, 22nd.
And there's some stuff with the state liquor authority we have to go through, so I'm not sure if the timeline will work, but
That's fine.
it's,
Isn't that a wireless, they contract for that, right? Wireless does,
contractor for.
for the antique festival.
Yeah, I think the board has to give its blessing for.
Okay, so that, so that's not in wireless, agreement this year that you know
I mean, not exactly.
Okay.
I feel like I needed approval for you guys.
of? Yeah, I understand.
And then I brought it up at Orlis and at the meetings, Andy meetings, and I was like, yeah. Okay, so I'm just trying to figure out how to implement that.
Actually, ironically, the motion for markets and for the antique festival both reference the sale of beverages and eating alcohol.
One rule.
So if we actually read this and approve it, yes,
It's already in there.
Yes, well, once it's approved, yes.
yeah, once it's approved,
Right, but there's still some hoops you have to jump through. and-
Okay.
yeah, that'll, sorry.
Okay, good, thank you.
Okay. I'll jump through.
No more hoops from us, just other hoops.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
Our
fine.
hoops are jumps through.
One to Newton.
Worth noting that the health department office, I believe, is now in Paulson Spot. It's not in, we don't, use Glens Falls anymore.
Wow.
I think that's correct.
Yes, there is something to do with that.
Okay. Treasurer report.
On March 31st, at our next tree surgeon, we moved 11 trees from Twin Four into the vicinity of the auditorium. pruning was not done properly. Our arborist determined the pruning to be amateur and acute cases caused a little damage. The tree and park committee, agreed with ATS to have them pay for the work that they completed correctly, but not the bad pruning. So the contract, the abstract that you have that you're signing today for this, is $13,905. And another contract will be sought to prune these trees correctly. The original abstract was about 21,000. No, the original price.
Did they argue with that?
I didn't speak to them to negotiate that. But it comes out to $1,165 a tree, I think. For the cutting, removal and the stump grinding, which is pretty good considering the size of some of those trees.
Gary, I talked to them,
Oh, there you go.
yeah, they didn't argue,
Oh, great.
because they knew that. They screwed up.
Can you hear your reputation?
Yeah. We're waiting on delivery of the new fire department Sutton truck. A resolution was given by the board to pay the invoice upon approval on April 6th of 25. The board approval to make the necessary transfers was already given at the board meeting in December of 2024. Price was $842,598.81. So a check was given to the fire department and payment will be made when the truck arrives, which will be
Should be next week.
next week. The treasurer made a mistake last fall in transferring $1,126 from the Victorians Landing Engineering Reserve account to the Victorians Landing Engineering Expenditure account and the village general account. So out of a separate bank account that's sequestered away for the Victorians Landing to the village to pay a bill. The resolution is requested to remove these funds back into the Victorians Landing Reserve account, decreasing A1441 $5,000, decreasing A5990 UFB by $126, and increasing CM2310 Victorians Landing Reserve by $1,126.
So
That account that they keep, that separate bank account, is supposed to be for them maintaining the pond and the drainage and some of the features around there. And the bill that I paid was our engineer doing some more general, just general engineering work for us.
So that's why you're leaving in shame?
I am falling on my sword.
Beautiful. All right, I move that one.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes.
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 Tomorrow was my last day as treasurer. Thanks for the opportunity to work with and get to know the village community. Greg Soddy, to my left, is taking my place. He's an experienced accountant, he's eager to learn, and I think will be a great benefit to the job in the community. So we welcome him.
Welcome, Greg.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Nice.
Stephen.
For April, we had 38 alarms, about 400 staff hours, brings the year-to-date total for 173 alarms to the end of April. Total drill hours, about 350, outside training, another 80, miscellaneous hours, about 250 brings our total so far for the year to about 4,000 staff hours. We attended the Multi-Armed Forces Day Parade back on the 10th. And then we're also attending the Boston Spa Memorial Day Parade this Saturday. And as mentioned, the new truck should be delivered next week. It's currently at the dealer over in Boston Lake for final equipment mounting and some of the dealer prep work. In the next couple of days, I should get the exact delivery date.
Thank you. Code enforcement. Peter.
We have a number of projects in the village under construction right now. We're trying to go through the stormwater NOT, it's called notice of termination for Griffin's Bridge. In other words, Belmonte wants out. This is the last thing that holds Belmonte to Round Lake is the stormwater. So he's in the process of trying to get everything done So Gary will sign off on, on that, and, this is our last chance to get whatever we want out of Belmonte to do it now.
Was there anything over there that really is sticking out that we really need to address?
No, he's doing, you know, the homeowners say there are a lot of cracks in the sidewalk. He's not gonna come back.
No.
You know, there's some areas that flood, but it's caused by the homeowners rather than what he did. You know, I think that the guys that are doing the work, are doing a great job, and pretty soon he'll be ready to go. The one thing I did notice that the one storm pond called for a fence, 6 foot high vinyl fence around the vinyl chain link fence. And you have to look closely at the drawings to see that it's there. He didn't do it, and he probably, my feeling is, we have something on, you know, if there's something that we need, we could trade off on him, you know. The fence is not required by code. The only thing the fence does is keep deer out of the pond.
And the homeowners in Griffin Bridge don't want.
Yeah, they don't want a fence.
Yeah.
I
So,
thought you could keep the homeowners out of the pond.
so anyway, that's moving along. You also notice that, I looked at 26 Albany Avenue, which, has an illegal, basement in a bedroom in the basement. And somebody just bought it, telling them that you can't have that as a bedroom, blah, blah, blah. It's funny because I said, what are you gonna do? And they're gonna rent it. I said, you know, it's, this house, you've spent $380,000 for this house. How are you gonna cover your debt service? They said, we have 3 offers at $2,900. So they're renting it for $2,900 a month.
Big one?
No, the house, the whole house, but then I got a phone call yesterday or today from Miami, Florida. Somebody else buying a house, and obviously they will not live here. They have no intention of, they're interested in the taxes and stuff like that. So I said, I wonder if there's something the village should do we have a list of, I'm gonna guess Susan knows how many, 18, maybe more houses in the village that are not owner occupied, that are rentals. A lot of them, is an immense amount of them. Maybe there's some way we could monitor them. My fear is that we get people, investors buying up houses, and they live in Ohio or somewhere else, and they don't care. And unless we have make them get some sort of special permit, rental permit in the village, and they're due for inspection every 2 years or something like that. Where if we don't like what's going on, we can revoke their permit and they can't have a rental house. I mean, I'm looking into, I think we need to do something like that in the village. It's an amazing how many rental houses we have.
Is the person from Miami, Florida intending to, as a long-term rental? Or
Well, they're
was
all
he-
long-term rent, yeah,
I mean, was this individual, like, they weren't trying to get like a short-term?
No.
rental, but- okay.
no,
We don't really know.
no, I don't, I just know that they were, this is the house, they wanted to know the taxes. They were obviously had a very strong foreign accent, they're just looking to buy properties.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of that going on. Up in Victoria Landing, there's a number of rentals. It's like somehow we should be able to curtail that or keep them so. I remember Bill Ryan telling me one time that was the downfall of the village. That when older people die, the family rents out the house. The family lives, who knows where, in New Jersey. And they never come up here. They have no idea, and the house just falls apart. So I think if we can control it somehow, it would be something to our advantage. Anyway, I'm working on that.
Yeah, are you gonna work, can you work with Tom and about, is there stuff we can dredge up from state laws, local laws? Some bullet points that we might want to consider about rentals?
Why don't you let Peter and I look at what our legal options are?
Okay,
Because every person, and that includes LLCs and corporations, has a right to own property. So, why don't we find out what options we have and then report back to the board?
Okay.
I'd like to say to back Peter, I've had several inquiries about buying my 4 acres at the end of the village. Get phone calls, or would you like to sell your property? And they're from somewheres, they're not local area codes, they're close.
Okay. Huh?
There's not much going on, this, because of the temperatures at the lake is, there's very little activity at the, tennis court. And, there seems to be three girls that were here talking, when we had the meeting, and they're the only ones that are using it. And of course, you got Little League going, which is very limited, this year, it's the best it's ever had.
So we got, new signs down there.
New signs at the lake.
And,
I didn't expect it was gonna happen that quick. But within 2 days of call of asking the patrol officer, the signs appeared.
and, the no parking signs on Route 9, they're still up there?
They're still there yet.
Okay.
yes. So far.
All righty. Anything else? David Straight is celebrating his birthday with his family. But he'll be here around 7, so we can wait for his report.
Bringing any extra pay for
Very should we all sing happy birthday when he walks in?
That would be great. You're smart. It's here, here.
It's save that for trustees' comments.
AP3,
Yeah, we have a few things going on for AP3. We're working on getting some quotes for a sign and actually ideas for a sign to go into the park where the labyrinth is right now. Basically just trying to figure out what we want to put on it and before we can present it to the village. We're thinking right at the end of the walkway to the left-hand side would be a nice place to have a placard and maybe put something about the museum and then the school also, and maybe some other little tidbit. On top of that, we are also, I purchased the paint for the signs, so I'll be hopefully sometime next week.
you drove out to Massachusetts?
I didn't have to, I found out you can buy it in quarts here. Just you can buy it in gallons, so I bought it. So I did find out, yeah, there is, it might have something to do with the commercial.
It's only toxic if it's in gallons.
Yeah, right.
No, it's only toxic if it's a commercial grade, so I'd actually. With the lot number they give me, it came up as a commercial grade and they said they don't sell that, they won't sell it. It came in like a silver can and it was just the NOC level was too high, you couldn't purchase it here in New York State. They said I could go to Massachusetts to get it. And I figured I'd just not take the ride to Massachusetts because it's available in quarts here, but I'm not sure if it's the same paint, but it's got the same lot number on it. And that's what New York State calls for, so I figure we'll go with that.
And that's for the historical sign.
That's for the historical markers, yeah, I'll be doing 2 of those, so scratch them off and, I got one of them loose and the one over here, it probably will come loose, so. It'll probably be within the next week or so. Paint those, get them heated up. The walkways for the Oregon, we reached out to, the Oregon company again, and they're still kind of, we have a contract with them, we paid them so much money, I think $1,500, and they want another $4,000 when they start the ball rolling in their shop. We contacted them, they said they're all a go for it. I think they come in, I think they come in Tuna, Oregon in June sometime. They wanna,
Did we get an email that said they're delayed,
I
yeah.
saw the email, I didn't read it.
But knowing Andover is probably gonna be pushed forward, and since they haven't asked for any more money, so they haven't even started working on what they need to work on. Like I said, I just said before, it's just gonna benefit them to be able to reach the higher pipes anyway, so if they come and take a look at it, that's something that should definitely be done. And I think that's about it, is there anything else going on? Probably.
Maybe we can discuss the signage in the parks later. The tree and park committee has been thinking about installing the name of each park in the park, so maybe we could have.
Have it put on for the sign?
Also.
Yeah, that'd be great, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Their nickname underneath, so I know what.
Yeah, right.
That's right.
About 100 different names.
That's right.
Think that's okay. Auditorium committee.
So we are working on the mock-up wall in the large dressing room. And we have some material there, we have some stains that have been tested, we're attempting to match the existing stain on new flat board matching the bathroom renovation. And once we do that, and once we have a finished mock-up wall, we'll take some pictures and present it to the board.
Tree committee?
Let's see, yeah, we planted 10 trees. Various places around the village, it was a big job, kind of an interesting trip out to Elhanan Nursery to pick up these trees. Got them all planted with lots of volunteer hours, and now we're working on figuring out how to water them all. So we water them quite a bit for the whole year, getting established. And we've got an arborist coming next week to do the initial pruning on these trees that we've done early on the training. So Jeff's speech is going to be, I think it's out of that.
Okay, thank you.
Can I check something real quick? Tree committee? Are you a park committee too?
Yes.
Are they? I keep getting multiple answers on this, and I just want clarity. I've been told that the park committee doesn't exist.
It's up to the board. I mean, it's.
We are an unofficial committee, and we restarted it as a tree committee. Then there was a suggestion, hey, why not you combine the tree and park committee? And we said, sure, it makes sense. And for the tree committee, think about it, you can't plant a tree in the village without a park. You wouldn't be able to really plant a tree in public area, so it kind of makes sense, but.
No, I 100% agree. The gardens that we had a little issue conversation about, I was flat out told that there was no park committee to ask. So I didn't come and ask you, and then you and I had this little discussion. Because I didn't understand that you thought they were the park committee, and I don't even know what the board thinks is this. So like, I'm a little confused. We just need to bullets.
Well,
So
the bigger the committee, the less efficient. So there's an argument to be made for having two smaller committees. But on the other hand, it's hard to find volunteers for things, so that could argue for a combined committee.
I think at one time we had a parking committee.
Right.
We did.
It
But-
was, that was one of them, the sparks of parking.
For the same reason, because you can't park
Right, exactly, and that was, I actually
without
had that,
infringing
I headed that for a little while,
on park.
and it doesn't exist anymore, because I'm not doing it. Since then, I'm not sure that we did officially stipulate.
I was on that committee with you,
Yes.
and I don't remember, I don't know what you just asked, but I remember certain things.
We did, yeah, we had issued a couple of recommendations and had a couple of meetings and.
You got one paved parking lot out of it.
Yeah, and then it's sort of, I mean, as these ad hoc committees do, they sort of ebb and flow, but I don't know that we ever actually did officially stipulate, but I certainly understand the logic behind trees and parks going together.
So do we want trees and parks going together?
I'm
Fine with me.
I'm full of that, yes, absolutely.
Okay, Eric.
regardless of what you call it, if you say, okay, we want a tree and park committee, there still has to be some definitions and some boundaries and some expectations put around whatever this group is supposed to do. You can call it, you know, committee A or whatever you want to call it, but I think that needs to be done, and I know that, Mark Marion has grabbed some language from some other village that has made, tree committees or tree and park committees. And I would, maybe suggest that the board ask Mark to bring those forward and use it as a straw man to start kind of nailing out what you want to define, responsibilities and limits of this.
Yeah, to be a good idea, because it needs to be clear, as an adult committee. Like when you did the 3D stuff on the auditorium, you came to the board. But other things you can do that. I have no idea what your authority level is, or what ours is.
That, and I have fond memories of, ad hoc water. committee.
Water.
Yeah.
It's my favorite committee I've ever served on.
Oh, yeah. But each committee does have a liaison, right? Or-
Yes, yes, correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So when there are things that we don't bring to you for discussion. we bring
Right,
to
like,
you.
I don't know, that's what, like, what goes to the liaison, what goes to the mayor.
I'm not shy about sharing.
No, I'm just like, I don't. There's no question of like, maybe I should be on the street and it's like, hey, why are there trees here? I don't know, those trees. And they're like, are you on the board? Yeah, don't they report to you? I don't know, maybe. Like, that's the conversation, is an accountability and responsiveness to people asking questions.
And that's why I've come to the board on occasion and given my report
Right.
when there's something happening. I'm not the chair anymore.
Yeah, and I don't want to get over the complex, it's just like a little clarity.
I think Eric's suggestion of just bringing a
Yeah.
paper forward and we can define it, makes a lot of sense.
A lot of places, municipalities do create an ordinance.
Yeah.
Through the board.
Standing committee.
Have, requirements, number of members required and, how many meetings you have to have. And
Yeah, those go beyond ad hoc.
Yeah.
Right, that's what you're heading for.
Yeah, but I mean, they also have ordinances such that if you have a tree on your property greater than 10 inches in diameter, you can't cut it down without board approval. And it goes all over the place. Some have no ordinances and other villages have very restrictive ordinances.
Just for me personally, I where I work, we have these things called RACs, which is already, which is who's responsible, who's accountable, who's consulted, who's. So if somebody has authority to approve something, not everybody is responsible for doing it, just somebody that is this. If we can do X number of things without asking anybody, and then somebody's gonna give us.
Yeah,
The mayor would be.
Right, are there boilerplates that we could take like AP3 or auditorium committee or all those other things in the village?
Right, and I don't, get the.
Nothing's written for any of it.
No.
So I think we just need to figure out how to manage our. Again, it doesn't have to be crazy difficult, just sort of like.
Start simple.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is done through reports, like coming here and you come here every month and give us a report and say what you've been doing. And certainly, I think ad hoc committees technically serve as the grace of the board, right? We can dissolve them at any time, instruct them to whatever extent we want, but I think sometimes it helps to give them latitude. But yeah, to your point, guardrails.
Well, I mean, like even the ad hoc committees and, if on 83, you can name people on 83. They change periodically, they have their own, they're also a 401c, so they have their own. Governance process.
They're
83
they're
are
separate
from the ad hoc.
Right, but but there's, from pointing out is, like, I don't know, the tree committee changes at various times, I would assume, but like, it's not a board position, which is, again, fine for our village, it's kind of like, hey, anything you do.
Yeah, you would hear ordinance for that.
I'm doing that.
Yeah.
You would need an ordinance for that,
I don't know if we did, like,
Well, no, if you're saying you don't know who's on it, if you had an ordinance, you would have to have specific people, appointed on the board,
Maybe, I don't even know, maybe.
and then you would know.
I think it just needs to be figured out, it doesn't have to be that.
We have lighting. Street lighting.
That was me, Jack, riding around.
I was kind of.
There was a sound, or a noise ordinance.
Yeah. I think the bottom line, if you're asking about committees, is, most committees, they come up with these ideas, I think, as far as AP3 goes in, and we come up with these ideas, we present them to the board is the one who's to decide, right, what the committee wants to do. And that's,
Mostly they make our lives.
Yeah.
Yes, as far as I was aware, committees could only have to present their concepts to the board for overall approval.
yeah. Yeah,
Because I believe, didn't the tree committee submit a map of where they proposed to do all the new trees? I think that's something I leave
Where we put them down.
Well, I mean, Jason and I are working together on the buildings, right? We're picking out stage for the auditorium. I don't want to put that at the public vote, because God knows that'll work. So on the other hand, maybe somebody ought to have some oversight and opinion on it. Do we need to come to the board for the board to decide what color we're gonna stain?
well, you're a board appointed.
Huh?
You're a board appointed committee, and you're on the board.
No, we're an ad hoc committee, just like everything else. We're just gonna ad hoc committee made up
Yeah.
of some board.
Yeah,
No more than two.
And it's just, it's just a clarity thing, so everybody's on board, like expectations are set, it's not. It's not a problem, right, and I know, like I'm saying, we're a small village, we're a tight knit village, I don't wanna be over just like, things up. So I think, to your point, I'll see if Mark can maybe share that info that he has, and maybe we can do some other thought on before next meeting.
He did send me something.
I feel like I've seen it, but I don't know if I got it correctly from him or if it was something.
I don't remember, I'll check that and talk to Mark. Clerk.
The water meters are being checked right now, water bills and tax bills will be coming out at the beginning of June. Springtime here, Little League is in full swing, kind of soggy start to the season. They're gonna be doing their pictures here in the community room tomorrow night. Multi-League Arts is asking to see everybody's artwork, they're doing this banner promotion up along Route 9 in Malta. And they're asking for people to submit artwork to be included for the decision as to whether or not they're gonna be able to, which ones go up. I think there's 10 banners that are going up. Be nice to see a few from Round Lake. And submit your artwork by July 1st. They'll be reviewing them here. David Straight has offered to help people take pictures of it. If it's because it's on a banner, if you're doing a sculpture or something like that, it's got to be a picture that they can put on the banner. He is also would like to, if it is a three-dimensional structure, be able to display it at the auditorium or out in the parks while this is all going on. So it's kind of exciting, and like to see some of the village people come and put their artwork on there. In connection with Bob, with things going on down at the lake, so the DEC officer came in to let us know that the college kids were back, but he has noticed in a lot of areas that he's seeing people out and about on the lakes, canoes, kayaks, paddle boards without life jackets. And he said it's really alarming because a lot of people are getting hurt. They've lost a couple of people up at Sacandaga. Sacandaga has sort of got a lake initiative to provide loaner life jackets at the boat launches. Just take it out, drop it off on the way back, or have a rod there, and so something we could consider. And the World Paper Lantern sales are June 7th here in the community room, but they're also available at the village office. You can't make that.
Adam, I'm sorry. I don't know if you wanted to mention the contracts for the Capital Sports and Fitness. I know we're drawing it up at the moment, but I think it's probably gonna stick as the same as last year.
Okay,
Yeah,
I thought you would, yeah, some of this is reminders or carryovers from the last one, because I think you mentioned that at the last one, which prompted us to do it.
okay, yeah, so we're.
So they're doing it.
The contract's not done yet?
Hmm?
The contract isn't done yet?
The
Well, it
contract
should
is
be, that just needs to
drafted,
be printed out, so.
right, it's drafted. And it's got the new dates in it. We
So
talked about it.
We can't do anything on it tonight.
I could go and print it. I have it drafted and ready.
Where are we at? I mean, it probably could wait. He's not coming in until.
That's why. It should.
Yeah.
Okay.
We should.
He's not.
Sure.
First day,
Sorry.
so.
Wow, loose ends on this one.
And I also forgot. As far as AP3 goes, is the images of America book for Round Lake. I'm meeting with the author on June 19th, and hopefully we will be wrapping things up and sending our final work to the publisher. So hopefully we'll be looking maybe before Christmas. That would be great, but if not,
Will we be able to see a draft of it at some point?
I'm sure you will. Yeah, when he's here, I'll have a draft. I'll have it to be able to present to you. Because I'll let you read through it here. But it's pretty much like I said, it's an images book. It's the work they put out for it's Acadia Publishing. And as far as the historian for Round Lake goes, we have 3 walking tours that are already planned. I don't know if I have to go in front of the board to pass that. I mean, they will be. There's one in August that is the Hudson Valley Walkers. They come every year. We usually split the cost on that. I think that's $10. Do you remember that, Sue? Or no?
I don't remember doing that.
We had the Schenectady historian reached out to me about doing a combined walk. He's actually gonna advertise for it. And he wants to charge 15 a head. We're probably looking at 30 people and then maybe doing 2 shows if he can fill 2 spots. And well, it'll be a walking tour. And that's,
Do you use the auditorium?
I will be using the auditorium.
Okay, so we'll consider that on our auditorium, so.
Those are September, so when we have that all set in, I'll come to the board with that and make sure everything's going on. There's also there's also another one in September, for another. It's county seniors. They're looking at $10 a head, I think. With all that money, I'll go to the village.
You said that's when?
That would be September.
Okay.
I think it's in September. And I'd really like to do a free tour for residents only. Just because of a lot of the material I'm running across, I'm kind of doing just like research.
Do what? I'm sorry.
I'm looking to maybe try to do a free tour for just residents of Round Lake, because I know a lot of residents are reaching out. You know, when I do a tour, we do a walking tour, they're like, how do I get involved with this? You could actually, you know, buy a ticket if we do the Schenectady one, because they're gonna advertise, you can buy it through that, but I was looking to do something, you know, before the season, before, maybe sometime in the summer. To kind of, you know, fill everybody in on what we're working on and kind of show, a lot of residents don't really know the history of the village. But I think it might be kind of cool to do like a little free tour. So we'll work on something there. Good.
About those.
Everybody wants to go for it.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Next,
Lots of ghosts.
there are a lot of those.
That will do the pitch.
Ready? One.
Thank you. This is
Really? He just did AP3. Yeah, AP3 and historian and clerk.
I was kind of hoping to be just, that's great.
All right, so, we can jump to were you done with?
I know,
Yours?
that's right, just, I didn't know if you were
So we can go right to
out of employment. Do you have a plan? If he's good.
Okay, David, no, auditorium, the other auditorium committee.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Today's my birthday. I sent the policies. I guess we could start with that. The only real change I did is the nonprofit one. I bumped it up to 300. But that's really the only thing I changed other than reformatting it to organize it.
What was it prior?
It was 250 prior, so it's just this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Carpe Diem is a nonprofit, so no, this is not going to become a nonprofit, we're gonna remember that.
So Carpe Diem, I think that this is something I would like to discuss with everyone. So we do it per use. So last season, they were just shy of $6,000 for renting. So it was right around 5,800. So the math to me, I was confused about it. I kept their rate similar because they did the fundraiser and raised $5,000. So I was like, I didn't want to just like jack their price up because of how generous they were to do that for the space. So what it is, their use rate for this season, I calculated at 125 per use. So I think this is probably something we would discuss for 2026 to see if that makes sense to keep doing them at like a discounted rate because they're using it so many times compared to someone who's just coming in to use it for just one event. So, but that I feel like we can open that up for discussion. But for this year, they did sign a contract for 125 per use.
That's something that we've discussed for a number of years, I think, up and down. One way or the other.
And I think maybe I would like to keep the use the same, but I think we could potentially talk to them about their ticket sales if we wanted to be involved with that. So I think that's where. So yeah, that is my comment on Carpe Diem.
So if we're gonna do that, can we just like name a date in like January or December? Where we can put on the calendar, where we'll remember to have this conversation before Carpe Diem shows up, because we have a tendency to do
Yes.
this. When they're in the auditorium.
Good point.
So do we want to do January or would we want to do the end of this year to
December.
discuss it?
December.
Yeah,
Let's
that's what
start
I'm thinking.
looking at.
Why don't we do November? Because December sometimes is hard for everyone to be here for a meeting. So we could just say November, we'll talk about auditorium rate for Carpe Diem.
I wish we could put it on the agenda for them, may expand other times.
Do we need a resolution to raise it $50?
Are we raising it $50? We're talking about raising it $60.
So this is just the nonprofit. Malta Montessori is doing 250 because that's what it was before this meeting. So.
I don't think we need a resolution to change also.
We need a resolution to change the amount we're charging for nonprofits from 250 to 300.
Yes.
I'll make that resolution.
I'll second.
Discussion.
What does that get us?
What is what?
What does that get us in terms of dollars?
Because it's a full day rental, that was why I bumped it up. I was just kind of looking at the way it's broken out. So for non-village renters, for a 6-hour time slot, it's $900. So I just bumped it up $50 just to kind of balance it a little. To me, it just felt really off balance for a 6-hour thing that a nonprofit would give.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
So
So, but I didn't want it, because they're nonprofit, I didn't wanna like jack it up to like $4.50, so.
It was a couple gallons of stains.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
What color?
Oh, I didn't.
Did you send that to all of us, or?
I did, yeah. I almost forgot Matt Calder, but he helped me. Not forget you.
That's right, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they-
Okay, so discussion anymore?
I guess we.
Yes.
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 So the motion was obviously to adopt the new auditorium rental policy, right? That was what I said.
Yeah, and it's specifically just.
I heard that.
Just from.
Yeah, it's just reformatted. I just put headers in so that it was a little bit easier to navigate.
Thanks. Dave.
And then I guess I can talk about the calendar. We have Paul Santee coming up on the 31st. He's doing the dance thing.
Is there any written calendar yet, paper calendar?
I am planning to put out like a flyer calendar that lists it, and then I would like to, the one that I made in previous seasons was a lot of work to put the images and everything like that. So I'm contemplating not doing that because my role is now director, and if I was gonna do that myself. So I did see one from like 2023 where it essentially listed the events as a brochure. So I think I'm gonna start with that format. Because I had a conversation with Susan, like she just needs something to hand out. That's more than just going to the website. So I am planning to have that printed for at least Susan this week. And then we can decide how much, because the other thing too is printing with images gets really expensive. So I'm trying to keep our expenses low on printing, as low as possible this year. So then June, we have an Improv Music Fest on the 7th of June. And then I finally locked in the dates for the Around the Lake music series, so I will be posting that to the website before the end of this week as well. And then Multi Montessori is coming on June 18th. And so one reason too for upping the nonprofit rate is we're already setting up tents for Night of Illumination. And I had told them that I would like to request that the village sets those tents up in advance of their event. So that just in case, as they have people here, if they needed a shaded area, that we would have the tents available. So I thought about having them rent the tents for $50, but because we'll be using them for Night of Illumination, I just ended up, let's just keep with what the rate was at $250, and then moving forward from this meeting on, it'll be $300 profits.
Well, right, because if they were already up, you don't want to be charging them just because they're up.
Yeah, right.
So you're asking the tents be put up?
Ideally
Before
Monday or
250?
Tuesday of the week, so it would be. Night of Illumination is June 21st.
Oh.
So I was hoping we could set the tents up the 16th or the 17th of that week, so that they'd be available for Multi Montessori. And if not, they're okay with not having them, but I was thinking because we would be setting them up a few days later anyway, it might make sense.
Did we schedule a cleaning of the auditorium?
We have done like a general cleaning. We're still working on nailing down who will be the cleaner. Paul Santee is interested. And I did get a budget number from Eric about what we have available. So I'm leaning towards having Paul do it this season while we figure out kind of like what's involved with it, because he's very ambitious and he's like ready to go do it. And he's already dove into the toilets one time this season. So.
I know like Herman, when Herman was doing it, he was doing the ceilings and up on top and.
Yeah,
I mean,
and Paul's
doing
interested
that.
in doing
He
that,
wants
so,
to, yeah, okay.
yeah.
I just want to make sure that it's thorough.
That's the new toilets.
Right. No, just the ones in the.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, there was a day I had some volunteers help me sweep the auditorium, and he came by and he was like, "You want me to clean the bathrooms?" I'm like, if you're offering, yes. So. So I guess, I would like to ask the board if we can present some sort of a contract for cleaning the auditorium to Paul Santee.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the dollar amount that we have budgeted is 19,000 for the season. But yeah, but that's not just for,
I don't remember.
Right, no, that's for a whole
The
couple of
auditorium
days.
cleaner,
yeah,
there was an hourly amount.
I don't,
It was like $20.
yes, 20 or 21. I'd have to look, but we're, it was the same as what we're paying now for the
For the office,
municipal cleaning.
right,
so I guess we can do an hourly thing. I was thinking somewhere between $20 and $30 an hour, probably closer to $20 an hour.
right, I think it was in line with what was being done for here.
Yeah. Which I think I saw a number that was like 21, so,
It's in that ballpark, yeah.
Right,
That's right.
yeah. So I guess we could just match with, is that how we
Right.
want to, I think
Yeah,
that would
match
is to
with-
keep
yeah,
it
yeah.
across the board.
Can you give us a proposed amount of hours per week?
Yeah.
Like an actual full proposal of hourly rate, number of hours per week, frequency of cleanings, like the whole
Areas of control. Yeah,
whole gambit in this scale and scope of what he's
That'll
actually.
vary some.
so July and August are heavier, so I would say probably. The average would be like 5 hours a week. And that just means that July and August could be closer to 10 hours a week. But if we're gonna go from May to September, the average over the cumulative months would be 5 hours a week. So we can do the math.
I think you're gonna have to write it out.
Yeah,
I'm not prepared to vote on it.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're gonna have to give us.
Yeah. That sounds good.
Can we have some input here, because we have, Daniel actually cleaned the auditorium.
She prepared that.
For like 4 years, I got paid, I was on the village payroll. And I went after every day of the carp diem. I was
Yeah.
there in the morning to check things out, and I was there in the afternoon to clean up what they didn't clean up. I took the garbage out and put it in the garbage. I brought the garbage to the curb. So that was, and for the shows, all the individual shows, whether they were an open mic or a movie night, I was there to make sure the garbage liners were correctly in there. I was there at night to take the garbage to the recyclable centers in the back of the stage. And I swept up in between the seat, in between all the chairs for animals not to come. I did that for every show. And, I was there every day.
Yeah.
Every day. And what was that?
What was your average hour?
Oh my gosh, I'm probably on record. I mean, you could look it up, but, I probably did 3.5 hours a day-ish.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
by July.
It was
Okay.
more busy and when the carp diem was there,
Yeah,
and I was definitely there, toiletry rolls, paper towels. And as far as the pre-cleaning went, I always went through because the seats get, dusty.
yeah,
And I did a lot of polish the wood. I always went through and I did the sinks after carp diem, because sometimes, they would mess it up. The
well,
bathrooms got pretty messy, but
why don't we plan on, do you wanna sit down with me at the end of next week?
yes,
And
I'm-
I'll draft something up and then I'll review it with you,
Yeah.
and then I'll present it to the board.
That would be good.
Just to let everybody know, I don't know if everybody, as far as the village, and even the board, this was something that Phyllis, which was a part of the village. And she's going to keep the village contract. Is that
Right.
And she did the auditorium also. So this is just something that she does not want to do the auditorium anymore, and so that's a separate cleaning.
Yeah, the scale of the auditorium is pretty. We can speak to that better. than
it is. And prior to opening up, I was there every weekend.
Yeah.
But anyway,
So I'd like you to make put some thought into cleaning around the auditorium,
Okay.
because the kids are all outside and they pack the place. So I want to run picking up trash outside of the.
Some of the grown-ups do too, Eric.
Yeah.
Not just children.
One of them is
I'm
me.
pretty sure there's a lot of grown-ups.
yeah.
It probably is.
Yeah.
They just.
Yeah.
We did, Sharon, I know that Sharon added something about how they're responsible for X amount of taking care of the space. And they were very good about that last season. When I did the final walkthrough with them, it didn't feel like,
I almost think that there was a fee, like they were charged a cleaning fee somewhere in there, and I don't see it in the, I
yeah,
don't even think it was that, but I think there was a literal like cleaning fee that she was doing.
it's, yeah, so the line you're talking is reads, if village personnel must remove waste or clean spills left by campers and or staff, contractor shall pay a fee of $75 per cleaning to the village. Which some shall be immediately deducted from contractor's deposit. So it'll just take into the money they get back at the end of the season.
Right, right, but I know, yeah, they've gotten better, but they
Right.
were.
Yeah, what's good is I have Molly, she's like my bad cop, so. Yeah. So I'll have her keep a close eye on that. She already told them not to park in certain spots, so she's already doing her job. That is, other than Jason and I and the building committee met, we have a plan to put together the one wall of the backstage room.
Definitely.
Yeah, so.
He presented that.
Then that's it.
Did the hard you sign my contract? Or we done.
They did today, did they deliver to you today?
They did, yeah, they picked up the set of keys, need your signature.
Yes, okay, I'll do that after the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
No pictures of me. Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday. I'll talk to you.
Right, next we have old business, Canton Ave rear lot, Galloway Gold.
Okay, we have complied with our village policy. We have a written request for the transfer of the 1,437 square feet behind the Galway's house. We have sent letters to all the neighbors who touch, even if they only touch by a corner. We have had no other written requests. Planning board has met, has approved the proposed sale, and this is ready for board action.
Okay, what we need to do is come up with a fair price for it, is that correct?
That's correct. Village needs to get fair value.
Now, if you look at the map, it is entirely landlocked. There is no access to it except for the portion that we are talking about, from Galway's or Cranberry's, correct?
That is correct.
Well, if you, kitty corner, I suppose you could.
Yeah, but no, you can walk right across to our property.
Right. It's behind your property as well, right? But the portion we're talking about is just the slice behind the Galway's property.
It's technically not landlocked. You can come to it, right next to it goes to Cleveland Avenue. And it says, this is just vacant land. You can walk in from Cleveland Avenue, you know. There's access to the land back there. Because right now, we just assume that the village owns it.
In thinking about this, I remember Santa Muir had a little triangular piece of property that the village owned or something that was transferred to her. Tom, does that ring a bell?
I do not recall that, but it makes sense to me.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to giving, charging $1 for this. Plus filing fees. Which are, what are filing fees? 75?
Well, it's vacant land, so it's going to be $250. And then $45 plus, $5 per page for the deed, and then $5 for the TP 584.
Right.
So a couple $100, but that's gonna be borne by the purchaser, we're just going to deliver. I'll prepare all the paperwork. And we'll deliver it to you for filing the paperwork. Using the legal description given to us by your surveyor.
So there's that expense, but the village in exchange. I mean, I don't see any value to it beyond $1 myself.
We tried to establish rates years ago. And we could never get a consensus. But the triangle, I think there was one of the houses over here. There was a triangle under the porch that we own. And a homeowner at the time had asked us for it, but I don't really recall if we ever settled on a policy of how you would ascertain cost.
I think in that case, we did a long-term lease or something like that, or.
And
There was a small piece of land in my old home that was
that's right.
transferred for $1.
I know, Susan, you ran down the cost per square foot for the last parcel that we saw.
Tom, did you hear what Matt said?
No,
At my old home on Colville Avenue, there was a small, very small piece of land that was transferred for $1 shortly before I purchased it in 2009. Probably similar in sense.
I don't have any objection to it's symbolic payment of $1. And it's not like anything's gonna happen with that property.
No.
We didn't even know it was ours until.
We were forced to,
Yeah, now we're forced to say that we charge money for it. So I move that we charge $1 for
the Galway Gore.
the Galway.
somebody called from now.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
Yes.
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 Who first, you second?
Fairness first, I second.
I'll prepare the paperwork. I will email your attorney for approval and then have Gary sign.
Thank you very much.
And
If I-
sorry, I believe you said that all the fees and everything have to be paid to the clerk, the county clerk anyway. It has nothing to do with us, right?
Right.
Right, I paid that, right?
While we're at it, Bob and Jean Sweet have the extension of that door behind their house. They have submitted a letter to the village expressing an interest in purchasing it. I talked to Bob and indicated that we probably would need a survey map of that portion of land. Chatted with him about perhaps passing along the name and contact information for his surveyor, who's done 90% of the work, he just needs to extend it out. I would request that the board send that request to the planning board for its review and recommendation in the same manner that we did with the Galaxy.
Does that need a resolution?
Nope, just want to know whether anybody objects to that.
Nope.
I think it's simply, we get the request, and that, in a sense, automatically happens, but I just wanted in the minutes.
Nice, yes. We would like to do the same thing on the other side that goes to the board. Who do we submit a letter to?
To the village, so you can address it to Gary and to Sue.
Okay. Thank you.
And actually.
It doesn't have to be terribly specific. We just have to be able to put it in the file and be able to identify what it is you're proposing.
Okay.
So again, maybe you can work with the suites with that surveyor and he can
Do it all.
extend that one.
Does that strip go the whole way through, or is it some point it becomes?
It ends probably behind your house or behind the next house,
It's the next.
because the village just owns all the property after that. We already own the property. as part of, the quiet woods or whatever, But it does run, I know for 3 hours.
So I guess the question is, we have to find out when the surveyor could get us indeed a deed description for the suites and a deed description for you, and the map that shows the entirety of the bore behind your parcel and Bob's parcel. I think, Peter, we don't schedule the planning board meeting until we have that document.
Thank you.
Well, Ricky.
Well, thank you very much.
I was gonna take $2.
I'm gonna start.
All right, next we have auditorium policy, mayor or director to sign contract.
I think what that means is that, right now, our policy states that, the mayor or the clerk can sign a contract with someone renting the property. And we had discussed, I think everybody nodded, that really that would be the mayor or the director. So it's a question of amending the policy to substitute director for clerk in our policy.
Oh, this one?
No, that was for the stage name, but it's another one that we have to open.
That's the only change, I don't think that.
You did add it to the new
Is
policy.
that our motion for resolution?
Yeah, that's the motion to substitute for auditorium director
It was just 2 phrases in there. Maybe 2.
and re-adopt the policy.
Second.
Discussion? As we work.
Yeah, this is like, I don't wanna take it. This is.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
It is in the new rental policy. I didn't change the verbiage on the rental agreement. I sent you though.
The agreement's not being signed, and it's only
Right.
ready to execute.
Right, yeah, so I don't know about, the one I sent through on Monday didn't have that verbiage, but then Susan and I chatted and I added it. Maybe.
I just added it by resolution, so it's done now.
Brilliant,
Why complicated? I mean,
That's
that's
it.
yeah,
And the concept.
Yeah.
got it. I can't use a purple pen, that's the.
That's correct.
Yeah.
All right, next we have extended dates on contracts for Markets and Antiques Festival. We have a new resolution here. Rather than read them both out loud, I will just read the highlighted additions to the old policy. This is amended from Village Board meeting minutes March 20, 2024, the Round Lake Markets. Whereas the U.S. Post Office mail carrier requires full access without issue to drive, park, and exit the building in order to load and unload mail on Fridays and Saturdays throughout the event. Resolved, the Round Lake Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the mayor to enter into or rescind a license agreement or agreements for Markets of Round Lake with Whirlus. The use of the subject premises is set forth above in form approved by the village attorney and found by him to be substantially similar to the license agreement between the parties for the events of the same name in previous years. And be it also resolved that the Round Lake Board of Trustees authorizes the closure while providing access and parking to U.S. Post Office vehicles of Second Street from Lake Ave to Wellesley and Burlington Ave from Asbury Ave to Fletcher Ave, starting 2 p.m. Friday and ending 6 p.m. Sunday for Markets at Round Lake.
And those are the same changes for both documents.
Well, not really,
Right.
little time change.
Yeah.
It's the days change. The original contracts from previous years would be there.
Yeah,
And instead of having it come across every year, it would just be easier just to kind of use the days that those 2 events take place. And just
But
keep
the
them on.
the one for Markets also has, or the one for Antiques Festival also has a different starting and ending time.
and then the
Right.
change is adding the requirement that we allow post office vehicles to.
Yes.
Yes.
Answer your question, it says a community event open to the general public, which may include live music, sale of merchandise, the sale of food, beverages, including alcohol to the extent permitted by law. And items in the building.
Just
So
that need to go on to. That's from Mark, Zach, still says it's them.
Did we ask the post office when they expect their delivery trucks?
Including
I mean,
alcohol.
I
They're
can tell you,
scheduled, so we know that, oh, we have to get everybody out of the street, their trucks coming in at 4 o'clock.
well, no, and they're pretty flexible, but they have had to cart mail down the street. And they said it's a federal law, so to speak, that they can get in front of the building to get the mail in and out.
Right.
As opposed to trying, like, he's gotta be able to access the ramps.
It would be nice to know in advance approximately.
Well,
What time they
they come
expect
at the very early in the mornings on, what is that, Friday morning, Saturday morning, and they come late in the
4
afternoon.
o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah.
And then the small mail carrier comes in Saturday at noon, roughly noon time, to gather up the mail to be taken out to local
Okay.
deliveries. But I mean, they are pretty consistent when they come.
Can I add to that? So I talked to the postmaster and, she has yet to get back to me, but the other issue that we were running into is because they're union workers. I asked her, you know, if we know when they're coming, can he just move, you know, get out of the truck, move the thing? And, she's gonna get back to me on that. So it may be one of the volunteers has to physically move the little
The no enter,
sign or something.
right, the no enter, right,
Yeah, because they're postal or union workers, they might not be able to like.
right.
get out of
So you have
the
to open it up at night to make sure they could get there for that.
truck.
one
Right,
of the-
but even at like noon when they come, you have
Right.
to have someone,
Right,
so.
but, yeah.
We can leave the details to Whirlus to figure that out. All we're authorizing is the access, so
Yeah.
you guys can figure all that out. And
Right.
so I'll make a motion to adopt both resolutions, for the markets and anti-dust.
In perpetuity until we choose to revoke it.
Correct.
In the future.
Correct.
I'll second that.
What was that, Eric?
In perpetuity until we decide to revoke it sometime in the future.
Matt moved it,
Jason,
Jay seconded it. Discussion?
yes.
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 Yes. Right, that one, under new business, we have a new treasurer.
When's your birthday so we can sing for you?
Called me
That's
on his
classified.
birthday.
You know.
He's all smiles.
He- Heard that. Filling him in for the last week.
I might take that cleaning contract over here.
Right. And, I would like to offer a motion to appoint Lori Narench as head of ZBO and thank, Dan Shapiro for his ZBA. And thank Dan Shapiro for his years of service as zoning board chairman. Do I have a second? Discussion? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, my-
Yeah, thank you. Yes.
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 Yes, yes. I remember how I corralled Dan into doing this. I saw him up at Hannaford. He saw me started going the other way, but I ran him down. And
Laura was the.
talked him into it. No, she.
No, she down.
I ride her dog.
And use pressure and use
Yeah, I just want to make sure in the minutes, my first name is spelled properly, so legal record.
Do I need to do any, with permission or anything to do anything for John?
Has Danny given you a folder or a binder with the
Does she have to?
documents that we use for the ZBA.
He has not.
Yes.
Should I ask him
It's
for
a-
that?
Perhaps you and I can spend a quality half hour and I can show you what we have.
I would like that. And for the record, I do want to thank Dan for his leadership and we will be working together still.
And you have to sign the oath book.
Yes, yeah, and I'll give you the proper contact information for the webpage. I look forward to working with the CBA and help us, you know, represent the village well.
Look at all the new changes. Springtime here in the.
James is gonna kill me. All right, correspondence. Do we have
I
correspondence?
do. The US Post Office kindly asks us to kindly refrain from sifting through the recycle bin, as it may contain individual personal information on people. The post office does not guarantee the safety or privacy of any of the information in the recycled mail, and the bins are for paper and unwanted mail only. Please do not throw garbage in the bin.
Who's been sifting through there?
Oh, yes, there has. Yes, and I'm not gonna go there. Donation.
That's scary.
We received a donation for the auditorium in memory of our longtime resident Lois Frederickson.
Oh, nice. That's it.
Correspondence.
Okay, next approval of minutes, 4/16/5/17.
There's an error on the minutes of 4/16, resolution 41 of 2025, what adopted the budget.
Can you mark it and get it back to me?
Yeah, well, yes, but it was about, who moved and seconded the resolution, so I would have to look up the record, who seconded, but, we had an old trustee's name on there, so make sure we correct that. I think Tom made the resolution, I seconded the budget, but I can't recall.
I think that's how.
Yeah.
No, it was not. Anyway.
Other than that, correction, I'll make a motion to approve, the minutes of 4/16 and 5/7.
Second.
You're all here for both of them?
Yeah.
Discussion?
Yes.
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 Yes. Approval of abstract.
Make a motion to approve the abstract in the amount of $390,385.49 to be approved for fund as follows. A fund $366,706 and 58 cents, F fund $13,371 and 53 cents, G fund $195.05. Second.
Go wait.
Who's
Jason
second?
seconded.
Oh, Jason.
Discussion? No?
Yes.
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 Yes. Mr. Village Attorney.
I request an executive session for two reasons. One concerns the possible purchase of land at the end of New York Avenue, and the other involves the 0.08 acres that the village paid $10,000 for on Ames Avenue, but received an invalid deed, and how to deal with that.
Do we have any fire department?
And the fire department.
And to discuss,
I'm sorry?
and to discuss the employment,
Here.
and to discuss the employment history of a particular person or corporation. Fire department.
But that, yeah, but we haven't gone there yet, because you still have other stuff, don't you? Or no? Okay.
Motion for taking. Or, not the motion, the request. Approval of, the village mayor and all talked out, village trustees.
Not me.
Nothing for me.
I have one thing. Tom, you had mentioned that you wanted to write something up for Carpe Diem to sign in regards to the donation of materials to the village. Is that something that you drafted yet, or? Did
No,
you,
and I'm kind of drawing the blank, what were they gonna give to us?
furniture and shelves and air conditioner Another-
any improvements that they
Any
made?
improvements that they pay for? You wanted them to sign something?
Oh, that's
Essentially.
whatever improvements that they make
Yep,
will stay behind.
Correct.
To own by the village after.
correct.
Okay, I have not put that together, but I will.
And that is after the season, like
They're ongoing improvements as we speak.
right, but at the end of the season, they take what they want.
No,
No,
they're not.
Yeah, okay,
That's what needs to be.
There was some other, right. there
It
was
has
other
been made
things,
very clear that any furniture that they bring
right?
is going to be donated to the village.
Or actually, just to clarify what they're doing.
Yes.
Yes, because I mean, if they bring furniture in, there's no reason they should have to leave it there unless the parties have agreed to that.
Correct.
Evidently they have.
And there's furniture that they have agreed.
If
to
they,
leave behind.
if they fix something up, then the auditorium, that's probably a fixture, which becomes part of the building. And that's clear, although it's often recited in the contract, but if it's going to include furniture, then we'll have to specify that it includes furniture as well, because that's unusual.
Yes, they do want to donate like tables for makeup tables and. I have to
This,
imagine a chair to go along with that.
Yeah, there are certain items that are theirs, so the money from the fundraiser will be spent on items that are donated to the auditorium.
is it stuff that's gonna be like kept in storage, it's stuff that's in place?
It's gonna be in place in the
Okay.
auditorium, but it's all designed to be movable and not
Okay.
interfere with Halloween
Or other events.
or other events.
Or building structural updates in the future. Yeah.
Okay, public comment.
I'd just like to comment that we have an engineer came in and looked at the leak, looked at the roof. We decided we don't need a whole new roof. We need a lot of flashing and retaping. Probably this roof and the next one up. He's putting something together on what should be done there. I had 2 contractors come in to give bids on fixing what's done inside here. My goal is to put an insurance claim in.
We need to know the amount that we're
Right,
talking
right.
about so that we know how to bid it if bidding is required.
Right.
Yes, sir.
I was just curious about the supervisor position. Is John's last day going to be before the next meeting?
It is.
Is that going to be a posted position or is it an appointed position by you, or do we know?
It will be appointed.
It's a appointed position. Do we know who's going, I mean, is it going to be something that's going to be announced at the next meeting or? Was that
Jumping ahead a little, I was going to propose a workshop meeting for June 4th. At which time we can discuss Peter's idea of the creation of a rental registry. Appoint a new DPW supervisor and pick around some parks capital improvement ideas. It's on the back of the agenda, I gave you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Right. 4 o'clock this afternoon. It's gonna be 2 weeks notice.
I was doing it, but-
I will not be here on
Your report, okay. That's it?
I have a quick question, and I think Matt can answer it, I'm not sure. It's the second post I saw on Facebook regarding State Farm saying that they can't keep their slate roof. Are they feeding on people like us here, or is that a legit thing, or are they scamming? I'm concerned about the people that,
Yeah, I mean, alls I know is I had State Farm for a long time with the slate roof and there were no issues with it, so.
it just seems odd, it's the second one I read. I
Yeah,
think the first one was Michelle.
it is, it was, I did not say.
And I think it might be Sarah Bashford,
Oh,
I'm not sure.
Cole.
I'm not sure if it's her, but it's on the lantern, it was today.
I mean, I would, if
Is it this still big enough the tree to get under?
if it's the same state farm agent, then I would consider that they go elsewhere. I mean, the last thing we want is more slate roofs being torn off in the
Right.
village. It's
Right.
horrific. Every time I see it, and I get it, people gotta do what they gotta do, but it
Oh,
makes
it
me
was
cry.
just suppressive relief.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so I think they're preying on people.
I would say,
I think we could write a letter saying that house is listed as part of a historic
National
district.
Historic Register,
And
absolutely.
it has to have the slate roof.
So what do you do for that? as a
Well, first you
village?
verify whether it's true or not.
Yeah.
Find out if it's,
other insurance agent, there's gonna be an insurance agent that will take a house with a slate roof, it's just,
Yeah,
it's
I'm
absurd.
sure.
I just feel bad because if it's
I
a
agree.
woman, or a man, but a woman who doesn't really know what's going on,
Yeah.
she's gonna go, oh my God, I gotta get rid of my slate roof.
Yeah.
But I really think that
Yeah,
because it's a house listed in a historic district, we could demand that the slate roof stay.
Yeah, I'd like to understand if it's the same agent as well as,
Yeah.
as the situation, and maybe to Peter's point, we could write a letter but if they're gonna deal that way, then as a customer, I would be shopping myself elsewhere as well.
I'm going to do a little investigation.
Yeah, I would, do some investigation, please, thank you.
and let us know.
I will stuff like that.
Me too.
Yeah, when I was, when I was dealing with my own roof insurance issues. I think a lot of it has to do with, age of roof. A lot of the insurance companies try to put a blanket on if your roof is X years old, they just try to tell you that you need a new roof.
I come from a country that has slate roofs that are thousands of years old. so
Right.
Right. They'll last, I'll last all of us by.
So it could be just a particular agent is trying
That's
to
my guess. is that-
Yeah,
push
Okay.
that their prerogative because they get a better rate. or
I just want people to be aware of that.
No, it's good, good. thing to
His
make.
brother's a roofer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
What's that? Thank you.
All right, I move to enter executive session to discuss the employment history of a particular person and the proposed acquisition of real property.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
All right, throw it on the desk and run out as fast as I can.
Oh, well, it's like.